Hi, my name is Randy Fay. I'm the maintainer of DDEV's DDEV-Local project, which is a local development environment that helps teams to view their websites right on their local machine without doing a whole bunch of config on their machine. I just finished doing a DDEV-Local from scratch on macOS, so I had a pretty clean machine, so I wanted to demonstrate how easy it is to get DDEV-Local and Xdebug and PhpStorm working together on a very, very clean machine. This is with no prior configuration, no fiddling, none of the things that people worry about with configuring debugging in PHP. So let's go ahead and try it. We're going to just do these steps. DDEV has Xdebug all built in and the configuration's all built in. You don't have to do anything. So let's just install DDEV. So we will do a brew install DDEV. Oops, we have to do a brew tap drud DDEV first. Now we can do a brew install drud, a brew install DDEV. Okay, there we have it. We have DDEV installed. Go DDEV version. And now let's get PhpStorm installed. I'm going to use brew to install it, but this is the same as downloading from the JetBrains website. Okay, PhpStorm is installed, so let's go ahead and run it. I lost my window. Here we are. I'm going to say send. It's always nice to help developers out. I'm just going to evaluate for free for right now. Now I'm going to open a project. I have a Drupal 9 project. It doesn't matter, we're not doing anything very exciting, but I have a Drupal 9 project just sitting here waiting for us. Don't show tips for now, thank you. And the index.php is right here in the web directory, standard Drupal 9 build. So I'm going to put a breakpoint right here at the beginning. Now I am going to let it finish indexing before I continue, so I'll be back when it gets done indexing since we're doing a break. Well, we'll switch over and we'll just use DDEV to configure this thing. Okay, while we're waiting for PhpStorm to get everything indexed, we are just going to use DDEV to configure this project. We're going to do a DDEV config in this D9 directory. This is a Drupal 9 directory. And it sees the project name. It auto-detected the doc root location as web. It auto-detected the project type as Drupal 9. And that's it. And now I can do a DDEV start. Now, the very first time you had done a DDEV start, it would have to pull some images. That's a one-time thing per DDEV release. We have all the images in Docker already here, so it's not having to do that. So it's just bringing it right up. Okay, there it is. And we are going to DDEV. This is important. We're going to do DDEV Xdebug on. Xdebug has a performance penalty, especially in Docker-based environments, but really everywhere. And so DDEV usually has it turned off. We're going to turn it on with DDEV Xdebug on. And now we're going to go back to PhpStorm, and it seems like it's in pretty good shape. We have a breakpoint set. Now I'm going to use the little listen button up here, and I'm going to say listen to it. And we should be ready that we can just go to d9.ddev.site. that DDEV describe shows you what the URLs are here. So I could just click through to this, and there it is, and it pops up right away in PhpStorm, and it's asking us what index PHP were we trying to use. And then the one that we're trying to use is the one in our project's web folder. So that's the one. It's trying to map it, and it's going to make that into what they call a server. It's actually a file mapping. I'm going to say OK, and there we are. We have stopped at the first line, and we have our variables here, and I can hit F8 and step through, and I can step into a request and see everything that's going on here. You can't live without debugging. You can't live without being able to understand the context of what your code is doing. Okay, so I am going to stop this debug session. We got it all working. Now that we've done that, if I go back over here and hit the thing again, now it doesn't ask for the mapping anymore because the mapping's saved. Let me show you where that mapping is. If you look for servers, it shows it up here in the PHP debug section. And so it just created for us a server called d9.ddev.site. I'm not exactly sure why they call it a server. It's, as far as I can tell, it's only a mapping of paths on the host to paths in the container. So this is the path in the host, and this is the path in the container. And it would have actually been better if it had done it for us here and put, yeah, hang on just a second here. I want to, oh, here we are. I want to put var www.html there, and that would be a little more complete, but it doesn't matter. It worked. It did what we wanted. So now we have that created. So let's take a look at what we did. DDEV has Xdebug built in. We just installed DDEV. We installed PhpStorm. We opened the project. We did a DDEV config and a DDEV start. Then we enabled PhpStorm's listen button. We said DDEV Xdebug on. We set a breakpoint. We visited the site, and it popped up a little mapping dialog box for us. And as a one-time thing, we did it. Okay, so there it is. Now I'm going to do the same thing with command line debugging. I know that we all have lots of command line work to do. It's basically the same once we've got that mapping set up, once we've got that server set up. So we have that server set up. So we are going to go, I'm going to stop this here. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do a DDEV SSH, how you get into the container. And here's index.php. I'm going to run that index.php manually. We still have our breakpoint set there. There it is. PhpStorm pops up, and we are now stepping through something that is a command line PHP. So here we go. And there we are, same exact thing. We've got both web-based and command line-based Xdebug going without having done any configuration at all. Now, if you already have PhpStorm going and you're trying to solve these problems, solve problems that you might have with potential configuration, you can go in to the preferences and you can remove server that you have if it doesn't suit you. And probably the most likely thing that could have happened to you would be to not have these default settings under the debug section. Like if you change the port number in PhpStorm, those kind of things, then that can do you harm. But these are the default settings here. Xdebug is all that we care about, and we're just using the standard stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look here. The resources for you, DDEV-Local docs are at ddev.readthedocs.io. Xdebug, you can just search for Xdebug in the docs there. The DDEV-Local repo is at github.com/drud/ddev. And please don't forget about ddev.com, the sponsor of DDEV-Local. Do try out their new DDEV Live hosting product, which has a 10-day free trial. We would love to have your feedback. I'd love to have you kick the tires and give us feedback about it. Thank you very much.